7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. And I'll just give everyone a reminder that this is a public meeting and it's being recorded and will be posted on the website after we are complete. And we'll start with the allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, there was somebody that needed
help.
Yeah.
We'll go on to roll call then when you're ready.
Councilmember Brenner?
Here.
Councilmember Weinhofer?
Here.
Councilmember Brunner?
Here.
Councilmember Barnett? Councilmember Valente?
Here.
Councilmember Berkeley?
Here.
And Council President Gajewski?
Here. Okay, and even though here we did have an executive session on January 29th, 2026 to discuss a litigation matter involving 1741 Paper Mill Road. And now we'll move on to public comment. So these are, does anyone have any public comment pertaining to the agenda or items on the agenda?
I don't know. It's. I thought we did away with agenda, non-agenda. But yeah, these are on the agenda. Adrian Jadick, 48 Cardinal Road. I have two things. One on finance transparency, and the other one on economic development. In terms of finance, we've heard from the CFO who did a clear walkthrough at the recent finance meeting. That was a real improvement. But the problem remains the public still doesn't get the documents in time, and the written record doesn't preserve the explanation. We've seen the agenda tonight, but it's still not enough. Residents shouldn't have to reconstruct major financial swings by watching video and pulling transcripts. Here's the concrete example. The end of January cash investment snapshot shows total cash and investments dropped from 7.66 million to 6.08 million on January 31st. That's a 1.58 million drawdown, about 20.7% in 1 month. This is an outlier. This has never happened in the past 6 years, I think I looked back. So compared to recent years where December to January drop was half of this. So when something like this happened, we need to understand why. It's that simple. The packet, therefore, should include a simple one-page cash bridge that answers what drove it: payroll, insurance premiums, capital pay applications, transfers, debit service, whatever. And the minutes should summarize that explanation, but we need the documents. We just don't need the finance, the CFO, whatever his position is. He said a few things, but we need the actual documents. So my ask is, first of all, post the monthly finance packet at least 48 hours. I understand, but I don't know how long we paid him. I would assume since 1st of January, I don't know, but the question is, all that was published is a simple income statement, a P&L, what it's called. That's a click of a mouse on an accounting software. I don't think that's sufficient. I think we deserve more than that. And even that was not presented at the finance meeting, was only in the package. Now it's available. So, and my pet peeve on right to know request, if the borough is spending time doing right to know analysis, fine, but the real way to reduce right to knows is proactive publication. We've discussed that. I haven't seen any improvements. There is a way on the website to add minutes for each meeting. We only have draft minutes. We never had the actually approved minutes. There is a way to add them over there. Okay, let's move fast. Second, the economic development in the Berkshire Mall. At the recent economic development meeting, the borough recording system wasn't working. Now, it's very strange, this thing, but I'll get over it. A concept exhibit was shown. Residents were told it might not be releasable due to intellectual property or developer consent. That creates a basic problem. Minutes won't capture what the public needs, and residents are put in a gray area when they try to document what was presented in a public meeting. I wrote to Melissa something which I like to give an example. If Aunt Betsy comes here and takes a picture of what's on the screen in good faith and shares it on her Facebook page or with her neighbors, she can be faced with a copyright loss. It's your due diligence as a government to make sure that doesn't happen. You have to protect the residents. So before you get the guy to come here, you tell him, buddy, you either release this or we don't have a meeting. That's simple. Okay? So this can be publicized, concept subject to change. I have to tell you, I got a 30-day, I put a right to know request for that map. Now I got a 30-day extension on it. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'll stop here. There was more to say, but thank you very much.
Is there any additional public comment regarding the agenda? Okay. I did want to allow Diana to speak about the Christmas Day parade.
Hi. I've met many of you before. I'm Diane Price. I'm the chair for the Berks County Armed Forces Day Parade for most of the century. But anyway, as the case may be, I know it's scary, especially for you all that are like 12. I have, first of all, I have a thank you letter here for supporting us for last year's parade and certificates for the borough, Mayor Levering, the police department, the fire department. We appreciate that. I'll leave that over here. And the parade this year is Saturday, May 16th. Again, we will be staging in the 900 blocks of Penn Avenue and probably part of Park Road North. And the parade will step off at 8th Avenue and Penn Avenue at 10 a.m. It's the 78th annual parade. We're really proud of being the oldest Armed Forces Day parade in the country. And so I hope you can join us again this year, be a part of it. We're really proud to have the Wyomissing Junior Senior High School band in the parade the last couple of years because so many students from Wyomissing and West Reading, where the parade is, are in that band. And we love seeing that. Love to have parts of Berks County in the parade and businesses involved and that sort of thing. We're really lucky. We're going to be having the Brandywine Colonials Fife and Drum Corps this year, which is in the 250th year of the country. That's going to be a really cool part of our parade. And so I dropped off the application for the parade permit with Chief Phillips. There is one thing I want you to note is that our insurance renews on the 15th of February, and I'll get you that insurance information, the certificate of insurance when we receive it. And that's about all I have. We're always looking for volunteers the day of the parade, especially to help get the units in order and things like that. And with that volunteer, you get the free buffet breakfast at Reading Muhlenberg Career Technology Center, and certificate, thank you for certificate, and also an opportunity to join us at the luncheon at the peanut bar after. So, thank you again, and good to see a lot of new faces, some faces I've seen for many years, but thank you again.
Thank you, Diane.
We will move along to our council minutes, and we'll need a motion to table, approve, or deny the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 council meeting. Okay, any discussion? All right, and all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And we move on to
Good evening, everyone. I believe everything is in our report for the month, unless anyone in council has a specific question for me on the report or something that's not in the report.
Motion to approve the consultant engineering report.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and we'll move on to the police chief and the mayor's report.
Thank you. I don't really have anything to add to the report unless any of you have any questions. Otherwise, the chief will review the highlights of his report, and there is a motion that he will ask for today. Go ahead, chief.
Good evening, everyone. Brief highlights of my report. We were available for service 3,937 hours. We handled 634 calls. 135 of those were in our business districts and 36 in our residential communities. It took us an average of 6.49 minutes to arrive on location, and we spent an average of 24.47 minutes on a call. You can see the training that we conducted throughout the month, and we gave our assistants to other agencies 26 times, and received it 15 times. Those of you that were at the Fire and Police Committee meeting know that that snowstorm gave me some extra time to get it completed, my annual report, so that is, I believe, the minutes for Fire and Police, so I think we discussed at that point. That was submitted and reviewed at that committee meeting. I want to announce that on March 23rd, I've worked with Colleen. I'm going to be doing a kind of like a town hall with at the library, starting at 6 o'clock. I'm going to kind of talk about the police department, things that we do, talk about how they can find out information, things that are on our website. Detective Sergeant Quinter is going to we'll talk about fraud, and then have some time for questions and answers. So the library's going to put it on their website, social media. I'll be putting it on ours beginning in March. So hopefully we get some good attendance. On the 15th and 16th, we did another human trafficking detail. 30 individuals were arrested or in the process of being charged. One of those were for soliciting sex with a minor. And this last part, I want to give kudos to Jim and his people. As you all know, the January brought us a lot of snow and kept us busy, but I know it kept them busy as well. And I had one of my officers talks about the snow plowing in his community. I won't say the one, but basically says that it's terrible. The other night, I went into that community to go to dinner, and you couldn't move on the streets. I couldn't believe how bad it was. And you look around what we have, and they did an outstanding job. So I know they were working pretty much 24/7 for several days, so they deserve some credit. Top incident for the month that we handled, as always, is traffic stops. Our busiest time of the day was at noon, and our busiest day of the week was Friday. Showing you where the incidents are occurring in the borough. That's pretty standard each month, which are the highest. They're all usually the same. As far as accidents went, like I said, we were busy with those storms. We had 64 total to start out the year. We issued a combined total of 133 warning citations and parking tickets. Arrested 22 people. We dealt with 3 wanted individuals, and we had 24 UCR offenses. Breakdown of what those arrests were. See, retail theft and sex offenses were the highest. Breakout of those UCRs for the month. So we had 24, and we ended up clearing 23. So we're at a very high clearance rate to start the year. We went through just over 1,000 gallons of fuel, and we patrolled just under 9,000 miles. I don't have anything listed for fines and things money's collected. I think it came out of the finance committee, so things are being done differently. I'm not getting those numbers yet, so I'm hoping to have. It sounds like I'm going to be a month behind, as it was being explained to me. So hopefully I can make those numbers either available during fire and police, or I'll be a month behind the numbers. And then, as the mayor stated, I have a request for a motion. I explained at the Fire and Police Committee that the crash that one of our vehicles was involved in the December, was hit by a person that went through a red light. That vehicle was going to be repaired, but as they took it apart, they found more damage and they ended up totaling the vehicle. So that vehicle needs to be replaced. I have attached the CoStar quote for the vehicle, and that vehicle's cost is $48,772. So there's going to be other costs that I don't know yet, because we've had to have equipment removed from the old vehicle. It's got to be put back in, and some things may need to be replaced as the front end of the vehicle is smashed. But all these costs are going to be paid through by insurance. Our insurance company's paying for it, and they're going through subrogation with the other driver's insurance company. So what I am doing is I'm respectfully asking for a motion to either table, approve, or deny the replacement of this old vehicle.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a clarification for the potential additional costs. Is that something we need to account for now with this motion, as it will be eventually covered with insurance, or would that be additional costs we would need to mitigate at a later time?
It's all going to be covered by the insurance. I don't know what those costs are going to be yet, because I don't know what they're going to find, things that are damaged and stuff. So what I do is I put it through for payment, and then it gets sent right to the insurance company to reimburse the borough right away.
So you're expecting no cash out?
We should not have. I mean, we'll have to initially put out the money, but it should come back through insurance.
Materials that accompany the report, I think you referred to that based upon what was presented to you in the report to authorize the replacement.
That's why I worded it down, because there's everything that's included in that replacement.
So we have a motion and a second.
When our insurance rep gave us a report a few weeks ago, we talked about premium increases, significant events that had happened. Is this going to count as a significant event against us?
It shouldn't, in that it wasn't our fault. That doesn't mean it's not going to. I mean, the carrier's gonna look at total claims. Whether they were our fault or not, they're gonna look at payout. So I think a lot of it's gonna depend on the coverage the other insurance has, and how that shakes out.
Doesn't help.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Does that have to be a roll call?
I was just gonna ask you about it more, since it's,
If you want to be overly technical, you can do the roll call, but we were just told that we will not be able to pocket because everything's going to be reimbursed by insurance, so. I think we would be safe on
okay. Then,
Before we move on, I want to go back to the chief's report where he talked about the January 15 and 16 partnering with Spring Township and the Department of Homeland Security and some human trafficking things. Good news and bad news. Most of the hotels in Berks County are located within the borough. Good thing for us commercially and so on. But along with the hotels comes the transient opportunity or whatever for people to come and go, and that leads us to some of this human trafficking stuff. Our department has been very involved in trying to combat this, working in conjunction with the Berks County District Attorney, John Adams, and some of the surrounding departments. I think it's a testament to how good our department is that they're able to conduct that kind of investigation. On the other hand, I don't know how the hell they sleep at night with some of the stuff that they see. It's pathetic, but it's unfortunately a fact of life. And I really commend our department for doing such an outstanding job in this regard.
Can I ask a question right now? Sure. Is there, I imagine there are training programs that
One of the agencies that works with us is called Zoe International. John Adams recently, they did an article in the news in Cincinnati, I don't know if you saw it, about what we've accomplished in Berks County here, and we mentioned Zoe International, and they do a lot of work with trying to help the people who are being trafficked, and they do offer some trainings. I'd have to find out exactly if they work with hotels and do that video training itself.
Okay.
But I know they offer some, because they offer something to law enforcement.
One of our officers is on the task force, yes, or, like, works specifically with human trafficking, one of our rural police officers.
Our detectives are all part of it,
Right.
because when we do these, operations, they're all involved.
Are there any other questions for the chief? Then we would ask one of you to make a motion to approve our report.
Motion to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Move on to fire chief.
So this is the same report that was presented at the delayed fire and police committee meeting since it was held the first week in February. Captain Sites had time to pull it. Jenna, you are correct, I misspoke at the meeting. I was operating off a black and white pie chart that did not show me actual colors. So mutual aid given versus received. Captain Sites is still working on pulling the report, but we gave aid 83 times. Had to have received it more than 43, but the numbers were reversed based off of what I said at FMP. We do have a ticket open with the reporting system as to the issue with that mutual aid received, that we're not able to pull updated numbers. Otherwise, monthly response for January is the same as the yearly response, 182 calls. Average personnel per incident, 4.17. Average response time, 1 minute, 11 seconds. A total of 74 hours of training was completed by the department in January. They had 26 overlapping calls. Busiest day of the week was Saturday, which is unusual. It's normally a weekday. 0 fire loss. 9 pre-plans were created and updated. You can see the inspections that were completed as well as the corrective action reports. So that is notification of the property owners being given after a commercial fire safety inspection saying you must do this, it is a violation of the fire code, and here's the time period you have to comply before further action is taken. In the first due report, I had also mentioned this at fire and police, the no emergency, those are calls where they're either dispatched en route and recalled, so the call's effectively canceled. A lot of times that happens with automatic fire alarms. Things like hazmats that come through, like there's an odor of gas or something at a gas meter is hissing, then UGI ends up responding and taking care of it. You can see the incident, again, broken down, incident types broken down in just a different format. And then there are the mutual aid totals of given 83, received 43. You can also see the platoon was busy. Some of the shifts joke that they are a little bit cursed. They're quieter than others. Case in point, yesterday, the shift on duty had 14 calls, which is extremely high for one day. Does anybody have any questions on the fire department report?
Thank you. Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. Moving on to the committee reports. We have the library board report first. So Rick and I attended the library board meeting, but we also have some library board members here as well. So would you like to, do you have anything you'd like to speak to as far as the report, or?
No, I just saw that there were, I'm David Walker, President of the Board of Trustees. I saw that there was an item.
There were some things on there.
So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, okay. All right, then just to summarize, I mean, then the minutes are in here. We talked a little bit about some of the efforts that they're going to put in place, some of their fundraising activities that they're going to be undertaking. And did anyone necessary for me at this time, but I know.
So I don't understand why we would want to do that. I mean, they're doing their thing. We own the property. Property needs to be fixed. We fix it. Have to come through this committee anyway. I don't understand why we have to, why we're going to do that.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it was a voting seat in the past, and that was changed in recent years. And considering we support them with over $300,000 plus a year worth of financing between the bids and support, I think it makes sense to have one vote at the table. That's my opinion.
I agree. I want the council to ask one of the workshops that I think one person did that, and I think it was representatives of the council.
David, what do you think of that?
I honestly don't have an opinion on it. I will say that,
Switzerland.
yeah. I will say that, Borough Council does contribute a lot of money to the library. So basically, when you guys ask for something, you know, but if you want to vote, that's fine too. There are 15 voting members on our board. It's a big board. If you decide you want a voting position on the board, then we're happy to give you one, but we have to wait until a position opens up. So you may not be able to get it immediately because we can't just kick somebody off. So,
And it would also, from my understanding, be a change to your bylaws, and we didn't have a change to the library bylaws last year, so it is a process for us to begin, because it has to be read in a meeting and not voted on until the subsequent meeting.
yeah, so
For the library
bylaws,
to take action.
that's accurate. Bylaw change requires roughly 30 days, read and then vote.
And my experience over the past 2 years is that I did not find myself at odds at any point in time with the direction of the library. I would have been voting in affirmative with them on everything that they would be doing. I see value both in having it, but I also see value in leaving it as it is. So I'm similar to David's opinion, where I see, I don't have a strong opinion on this in either direction. Exactly.
Would it be possible for the next time that there is a voting seat coming available, I'm assuming you would get notice from a member who's rotating off. Could you let us know so we could discuss it again at that point in time prior to filling it?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can-
I have to make a note to myself to remember that.
Well,
but
we'll be
yes.
there too, yeah, so
Okay,
we'll be,
yes,
one of us will be at the
Sorry.
meeting so we
The
can,
reality of it is we can't be on,
We couldn't
no
do
one
it
on this
now
committee
anyhow.
can be on the board now. You have to change your bylaws to allow that. That's all gotta happen.
yeah.
We don't have to
Doesn't-
change our
There's
bylaws.
there's nothing saying that one of the 7 of us can't put their hand up to say, I want to be on the library board, and I would expect that you'd probably get in. Yeah. When the voting member comes up, when the voting membership comes up, so I'll make a recommendation to table this for now.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have a motion, I think we just wanted to discuss it, see if that was something we wanted to, yeah. Is it a motion?
Yeah, there
Sorry,
is. I'll second the motion.
I skipped that. All right, any additional discussion? Okay, then all in favor of tabling the
Aye.
request?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Move on to, we will need a motion to table, approve, or deny the library's 2026 fundraiser, subject to the language to be provided by the borough solicitor and further details to be provided by the library board. I don't have the technical language, but I know that they are hoping to have a fundraiser that sounds like a lot of fun, and they would need to serve alcohol there, and so we would need to.
I think I can work with
Yeah,
Melissa to make sure that the minutes reflect what I'm going to say, but I
Okay.
think what your motion should be is to, first of all, do a one-time waiver of chapter 16, section 102P, to permit the use, possession, and consumption of alcohol on the borough-owned property, and that would be subject to the provision of proof of insurance satisfactory to the borough manager and the solicitor, and obtaining a special occasion permit from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board if required.
motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, next, is a motion to table, approve, or deny, appointing Adam Berkeley as the council member liaison to the library board with a term expiring December 31st, 2026 in replacement of myself. I am certainly hoping to continue attending meetings because I actually really enjoyed that meeting, but in an effort of, making sure that someone is consistently there, Adam, is able to do so, and so I'm hoping that we can move forward with just making that switch from me to him.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then we'll need a motion to approve, deny, or amend the library board report. Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the personnel committee report, which is me. We had a very, very long executive session with, Dr. Is it Madola? If I'm pronouncing it correctly, who has been working with the firefighters. She's been doing a lot of work with them, helping us understand what their needs are, helping, just to kind of understand ways to, all the things, improving their relationships with each other, our relationship with them. We then moved on to discuss the fire chief position. We changed the, description slightly based upon some input from firefighters and some others, and then we, I think it was too notable. There is a, I'll get to that next. Does anyone have any questions about the report itself? Okay. Then we will need a motion to table, approve, or deny ratifying the motion made during the personnel committee meeting to approve the changes to the fire chief position description and to commence with the hiring process. So we are recommending that we move forward with that.
Motion to approve recommendation. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay. And then we have, next to discuss is resolution number 2026-09, a resolution of the borough establishing a wage garnishment fee for employees. So that is essentially passing on when it's needed the $50 wage garnishment fee that we are charged by our payroll processor. That would be that charge to the employee when it occurs.
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we just need a motion to approve, deny, or amend the personnel committee report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. On to the infrastructure committee.
Okay, infrastructure committee, thank you, Madam President. The infrastructure committee met on January 20th, 2026, and we have a few things. We have a motion on the table, and the committee is recommending authorizing payment application number 2 in the amount of $44,634.60 to J&S Paving and Excavating for the West Line Interceptor, and I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Okay.
All right.
We need a roll call.
Councilmember Reimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Weinhofer?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember Barnett?
Yes.
Councilmember Valente?
Yes.
Councilmember Berkeley?
Yes.
And Council President Gajewski?
Yes.
Committee is recommending approving authorization of payment application number 4 in the amount of $16,081.64 to Gordon H. Baver, Inc. for the Berkshire Heights Playground Project. I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Is this the last statement for this project?
No.
No, but it's all budget.
Okay, then you should roll call.
Councilmember Reimer?
Yes.
Councilmember Weinhofer?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember Barnett?
Yes.
Councilmember Councilmember Valente?
Yes.
Councilmember Berkeley?
Yes.
And Council President Gieske?
Yes.
And then we have resolution number 2026-12. Want me to read this? Want me to read these?
Sure, I mean, it's reflected in everyone's materials and it's up here.
It's a resolution authorizing the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing to enter into an intergovernmental agreement to establish the Harris County Uniform Construction Code Borough of Appeals in cooperation with participating municipalities within the county, and I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2026-12.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
The only thing before we close this is I want to, again, applaud the guys and the gals out there who were cleaning the streets. Did a good job. I, along with some other board members, went on a trip with them. It's not as exciting as I thought it was. Gotta tell you, I have to admit, it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was. Brought an extra cup of coffee and spilled it all over the place, so it didn't much matter. But, you know, well done. And the other thing I'd like to compliment, and it'll probably go up in the record, but is the pond, for the fact of the matter, they figured out a way to make that pond work, even though it's only 2/3 of it. You know, by piping all the way around it, sticking the water in from the other side, at least we have 2/3 of it open. I would hope at some point we can get that thing fixed, that the whole thing can be open, but it'd been a shame to have the weather that we have now. The only good thing you get out of it is ice skating, so well done. I'll make a recommendation to approve the infrastructure.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Alright, on to the rec board.
Thank you, Council President. So, at Rec Board, we did a whole reorganization, so I was, elected in charge of Board President and Sally Donato was Vice President. We are kind of just starting to get everything up and running for the year, so we were trying to get some of our events more into a year-round rotation. So we'll have parade event as well as the playground. We'll have hopefully scheduled more towards year-round meetings. We'll have better handle on those two tentpole events for us. One of the other items that I'm going to work on over the course of the next year is trying to bring in different community groups. We need to do a little bit better job of reaching out to some of our different community organizations and trying to build those relationships. So folks that we rely on to be at our events to help us with setup and tear down and be there as a participant in those events. We want to be able to hear from them on more of a year-round basis, make sure we're doing everything we can to support them, giving them what they need. So we're going to start that this month, where we're going to have Pamela, who's on the board, we'll talk about the Wahoos, the Wyomissing swim team. And past that, I'll hand it over to Randy for all the stuff I missed.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. Just real quick updates. The rec guide, as everybody knows, that is a tradition in Wyomissing. It went live and online. Details all the rec events, programming, and activities went online 1:30. The mailing is going out either the 19th or 20th. That's being wrapped up and being sent out. Event-wise, we have 2 events coming up in the next month. 2/27 is our first stargazing event in the parklands. And then the egg hunt, believe it or not, is right around the corner. And with the holiday earlier this year, the egg hunt is 3/28 at the Hills. Programming-wise, registration, so far to date, we have 2 playground registrations that have been done, a tennis lesson registration, and a swimnastics, 3 of the big ones. The registrations are open. Playground was paused. Hopefully it'll be turned back on next week after our playground subcommittee meeting. Swim lessons and swim memberships will be turned on shortly after that as well. From a program standpoint, the playground hiring interviews are going on right now. We have about 80 applicants this year. And again, talking about traditions, working at the playground is one of the long-standing traditions in the community. Every kid wants to do it. The pool will start our interviewing process around the 22nd or 23rd. I'm meeting with the pool manager on Friday and start going over the details with that. Other than that, that's really all I have for you tonight. Any questions?
The other thing I would like to bring up is I just happened to read today, somewhere along the line, that the governor has put in, or the House of Representatives approved minimum wage going up to $15. So I would assume that would affect us if that does happen. I highly doubt it's gonna happen by then, but just something to keep in mind.
Alright, we will look for a motion to approve, deny, or amend the recreational store.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Alright, on to refuse and recycling.
Thank you. We had a very interesting refuse and recycling meeting. We had a significant number of visitors to discuss the possibility of a single-use plastic bag ban. And that took up a significant, that was a significant showing from the community. We ultimately decided to table the preparation of that ordinance because we felt we did not have sufficient information to make a decision to move forward. We then moved on to an environmental advisory commission, which has previously, I know, come before council. And we do feel that there are advantages to creating such a commission. And there is an ordinance that had previously been written and not approved by council. We also reviewed the refuse and recycling, landfill, and yard waste. It seems to be an evolving situation with the new contractor. We had some decreased collection from December for yard waste, and we are so far happy with Hollenbaugh, but not particularly happy with JP Mascaro in terms of their hauler performance. And we also had communications between Michelle, Public Works, and Randy regarding any delays. Some residents are concerned about missed stops, and residents can leave a voicemail at Borough Hall. And we have come out of that meeting with the motion for an ordinance for EAC. But I feel that I must say here that I do not believe that what is written in that ordinance is what we decided in the meeting. I believe we decided in the meeting to request that council have the solicitor look at the ordinance. I do not believe that we came out of that meeting saying that we would look to approve the formation of the EAC. And so I would like to ask the council to deny that motion to approve the formation of the EAC subject to solicitor approval, because I do not believe that is what we determined we would do at that meeting. And that's my report. Thank you.
At the meeting, I reviewed the EAC, the draft ordinance that we prepared has been reviewed by our prior solicitor. And when it got to, at the approval of council, but when it came to council, to advertise the ordinance, it failed on a 4-3 vote. So we do have a proposed ordinance which had been approved by our council, and when I voted in favor of it, I understood that we were asking council to authorize the advertisement of the ordinance, subject to a final review by the solicitor.
I'm in agreement with that. That's what I believe was the plan. I remember there was a discussion that we were going to ask current solicitor to review it. So I thought it would come back, and you had changed it and said, well, if they review it, maybe we can just move it directly to council. So I believe that was what I voted yes on that.
Which would make sense if there had previously been stated concerns that council did not previously feel they had an understanding of what the case did. So we went right back to where we started, which was to not provide council with sufficient information to show the advantages of an EAC. And so I feel that we've put ourselves in a position, yet again, we're asking council to approve something they may or may not feel comfortable doing, which was the entire point of having the review prior to asking council to approve it. So we jumped ahead for no reason. Now we've put ourselves in a position where we're going to have to take a tough vote, which we may lose, because we weren't willing to be a little bit patient.
if an EAC is formed, it's no different than the current, they have to come to council.
It's an advisory council. They would move everything up
And
to.
what it says, we're gaining stuff. Go back up a little bit, move up another inch.
I mean, the ordinance was written
I understand,
and provided,
I
yeah,
understand.
no, I'm just saying, it was provided to council to read through so they could see the specifics and logistics. And then when it moved on to advertising is when it was shut
But
down.
how does forming an environmental advisory commission, and I mean, if it happens, so big, but if it happens, the environmental advisory commission, how does it pull more resources together than the current formation of it?
Well, refuse and recycling is fairly narrow portfolio, and unless we are doing a 3-year review of contracts, refuse and recycling doesn't do a whole lot more than look at monthly reports to see how performance is, look at the reports to see how much of different categories of refuse and recycling are being picked up compared to other years. Not that we can do anything about it, but it's information which can be helpful. And the expectation was that if the responsibilities were broad to include environmental, which by the way was a suggestion by a fairly large number of residents, we could look at more issues. For example, if we ever, please God, replace Borough Hall or replace the police department or something like that, the EAC could look at the advantages of solar panels and would make a recommendation. If we ever start using hybrid vehicles, the EAC would provide information. So it's primarily a group of people, citizens, who want to look at how we affect the environment and make sure that our decisions are informed so we know better about what we can do to make things better or whether we can do things worse.
I'm all for improving our environment, I got no problem with that. My issue is, if, like you said, Borough Hall has something to be done to it, I think we have some solar expert that would come to the, I would assume a subgroup that we would form out of infrastructure that would come to the meetings and say, this is the advantage you have by using solar or not using solar, depending on where we are, how many trees you have to knock down to get the solar to work, those kind of things.
Well, we could have, but you see how well that worked when the new facility was built for public works. Solar wasn't considered, I don't think. It wasn't on anybody's radar screens. The point is to make people aware of these issues and consider the issues.
Again, I have no problem with it, with being environmentally, but listen, if there's a project moving forward and someone wants to say, hey, think about solar, throw it on the table. But I don't know that you need to form a committee to do a different committee. I don't have a problem with expanding the job of what the committee does now to include environmental stuff, but at the end of the day, I think we have a parks sort of handle some of that, if I'm not incorrect. You know, Parks has some piece of it. How does it cross over with Parks? How does it cross over with infrastructure? I just don't understand the need for it, other than if you're willing to say, hey, the committee is changing its name and keeps the same formation, bring it up to council. I have no problem with that, but I don't get it.
The guidelines of an EAC are specific under Pennsylvania law. There is a Berks County EAC, there are EACs in several of the neighboring municipalities. It's a way to bring residents in. Right now, we are only allowed 2 residents on refuse and recycling. It's a way to create, I think, a 5 to 7 with possibly 4. It's all written law, additional non-voting members who are ready to come to the table and discuss ideas that can make our community better, more eco-friendly. They can go out and do research on whether we should actually follow through with the single-use plastic ban. They can help support the Park and Shade Tree Commission in water improvement. I mean, there's a lot of things and a lot of people who want to make sure that Wyomissing is, if not ahead of the pack, at least in line with all of the surrounding communities that have an EAC in place.
I think this discussion is kind of circling back to what Adam said, that the intention that he had was to make clear why we wanted this change. Is there, I know the ordinance is provided, but is there a way that that could be provided to the table and look at that in more detail at another meeting? Like, is there something right now that you want to do that you cannot do without this?
No, not in the next
Well-
24 hours, but yeah, I mean, no. I just think it's imperative that Wyomissing adopt the EAC. If anybody needs more information other than the details that are in the ordinance, drag up plenty of information.
No, I would say that if there's a lot of people are in support of single-use plastic ban, and they've been to our meeting, EAC, or these recycling meetings twice. There's going to be presentation of municipal law section meeting later this month, and right now, I'm not sure if this is that recently, but that this is in the purview of recycling. I don't know if it's within the purview of anything, any for our committee. If it were EAC, that would be like, so
Why can't it be referenced in the recycling bill?
It's not in our, within the guidelines of the ordinance, I don't think it falls.
Why don't we change that ordinance to allow it,
It has to
because
fall
the refuse and recycling, it's gotta fall somewhere. I mean, if there's an EAC if there's already an EAC for the county, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the county has one, neighboring municipalities has one.
Have any of the this isn't being discussed tonight, but has any of the county or any municipalities enforced a single plastic bag usage? Sorry, I used the wrong terminology.
Reading is in the process of it. The city of Reading.
I personally wholeheartedly support the goals that were stated. My concern is that I feel like, starting this year, we're not in crisis mode, but we're all very worried about expenditures and resource utilization, and I just don't know how we'll be able to achieve the stated goals by, we're circling the wagons, and this seems like sort of a goal that's outside of the core of what we're trying to address right now, which is to get our finances in line and ensure that, we're still preserving the resources that make the borough what it is. So I think that's where more information comes in, because if we're in a meeting once a month, then who's doing the survey, who's collecting the data? I don't know how we're gonna achieve this without spending time and money. But I wholeheartedly support being stewards of our natural resources. I hope everybody would support that. So I think we can still do that. And just hunt the formation of the committee for now.
I think that we have a group of very enthusiastic residents around this issue. And I think that they have come a lot of times asking for us to try to do something. In my opinion, this is a net good for Wyomissing. I hear what your points are, and this is the sort of thing that in this committee, they would be the ones tasked with doing it. So obviously there are no additional funds to provide them with a budget this year. So those are not additional costs we can incur. So it's residents' time and it's residents' effort. And so, I think that it's imperative to hear the folks when they're talking to us, and, we need to let them, I feel like we need to invite these people in to be able to vote this. I think it's an active ones.
The only cost would be the cost of advertising.
I mean, there's gonna be the cost of reviewing it, we're gonna send it to the solicitor for review, which was, so. There are costs associated with all of it, nothing we do is without cost.
If this committee is formed, are they gonna bring in the Redners of the world, the Home Depots of the world, the XYZs of the world, who use single-use plastic bags, or glass bottles, or plastic bottles, or anything else, to see what the opposite side of that's gonna be? Because if I go to Redners, I can use I don't really care if I can use a single plastic bag or not. But if I go to Redners, I can't, but if I go to the Weiss or the other Weiss, I can. I mean, I applaud the effort. I have no problem with it, to be honest with you, except for the fact it's only Wyomissing. I think this is something that's gonna be more of a regionalized plan, say by the county, because does Redners think that people are gonna knock them to Redners now because they can't use single plastic bags? I don't know. I have no idea, but I would have to
So
answer that.
for the first time, this group came to speak with Refuse Recycling and proposed ban on single-use plastic. Refuse and Recycling told them we need more data, and data from the business community is crucial. So I developed and they said they had Penn State Herbs students who were going to do a project and were going to go out in the community. So I developed a questionnaire to be administered to businesses to ask them things like, how many plastic bags do you buy? How many paper bags do you buy? Do you think you would be harmed if the ban were enacted in Wyomissing, but not your competitors? And a whole bunch of, to get their input. The group chose not to collect data. The group chose to talk to maybe 8 businesses, and they came back with anecdotal evidence. And again, when they came to our meeting again, we said, you didn't give us the data we asked for, we need to know the effect and the opinion of the business community. So if we had the EAC, we could give the EAC members an assignment to go out and talk to 10, 15, 20 businesses each and get a better sense of how whether the business community opposes it, supports it.
Again, I have no problem with that, but why not invite Ryan Redner in from Redner's Markets too? The Refuse and Recycling Committee meeting, the Environmental Advertising, the EAC Committee. I mean, why do it, just bring them in and let them talk?
We can do that, but I think they want more than one business.
I mean, a lot of the larger
I would-
businesses,
Home
including
Depot,
Redner's.
Walmart,
Home
I think they
Depot.
all have some
Yes,
skin. in it.
they all have several stores in areas that have some of these
Understood.
plastic bans already. So
Understood.
they're familiar with the system, they know how to move forward through it. But yes, the idea of it was tabled at R&R because we didn't have that information. But yeah, all these big guys know what they're doing. It's been put in place in KLP and Lancaster City, it's been put
They're
in
all
place in
pretty
several
big
local
taxpayers to
areas.
the borough. I think they all should be able to be.
Well, that's
brought
why
to the
we,
table.
that's why we waited.
Wanted in their opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we need to debate the plastic bags.
You're right, I'm sorry, I
think-
apologize.
Let's circle back. We have, I don't need a motion to deny. Does anyone have a second to the, we're gonna continue
I'd prefer to
discussion. I
table
think
it.
we need to make a motion. Motion to table?
I think we gotta go with,
There's no
Or-
second.
Is there no second to deny?
are you making a motion to deny yet?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table.
Okay.
I'll second the motion to table.
Can I just request what it is that we'd like to see in order to attempt to move it forward? The
Send it
EAC.
back to Refuse and Recycling, or where is it?
Sure.
So I think based on Adam's feedback, we would want to send it back to refuse and recycling for a better understanding of what we are going to gain as a borough with the EAC. And have that presented back for refuse and recycling and hopefully present it again to council with a better presentation of what the EAC will bring to the table. Does that satisfy what you were looking for, Adam?
Yes.
I don't need to speak on your behalf.
Thank you.
A motion and a second to table. Any more discussion? All in
It would be
favor?
good to be able to vote on it again in a time, like in a timely fashion, so when it's next.
Refuse and recycling does quarterly, so
All special meeting.
Till April.
Yeah.
For advertising.
If the plan, the structure.
Have the
of
people who
goals
want to be able to,
is outlined better.
that EAC, I can't say that. Have them come to the refuse and recycling meetings until it becomes an EAC, if it does that.
They were so discouraged when council voted it down
2 years ago.
that they stopped coming to refuse and recycling. And they came back last week, but they really felt like council let them down. And I don't know how many times you can expect them.
So if next month or 2 months from now, there's an EAC committee voted and it gets voted upon and it gets approved, they're gonna be less excited. I mean, I get it.
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying I'm against an EAC, I'm just saying, I don't know that I'm against it, I don't know that I'm 100% for it, but I'm willing to find a way to get to be 100% for it.
But even so, like these EACs exist, what has the Berks County EAC done? Is that, it would just be helpful to know, like how they accomplish their aims.
Motion and a second to table. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I would recommend that the on our committee invite Ryan Renner. He lives in the borough. I think he can give you some unbiased advice.
you might recall that when one member of refuse and recycling had the nerve to talk about maybe approaching Ryan Winter and asking whether he would be open to putting a sign in front of the store reminding people to bring in their plastic bags. She got a major smackdown by the president of council, so.
That person's
But that-
not here anymore,
that
so
council's gone.
that council's gone.
Well, what's the point?
I have no problem if Ryan wants to put a sign up saying, please bring your plastic bags back. I think it's awesome that he would do that. I don't know that he's got one, but I hope he does. It'd be great.
Along
But
those
same with
lines,
Home
I would
Depot
also
and
add,
Walmart.
that I take my plastic bags that I used to put in my recycling can over to Redner's, where they have tubs
Yep.
to put them in, and on the tub is a notice of what you can put in there, which sounds very much like everything that we used to collect in our recycling.
Okay, we'll move on to the park and shade tree.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Oh, sorry.
So moved.
You need a,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Park and shade tree.
Park and Shade Tree met on January 28th. It was a pretty standard small meeting. We had some discussions about Earth Day and Lucy Prince possibly hosting a bird walk in the parklands. We're still working on the Memorial Bench, Memorial Tree program to get that finalized to bring before council. And the specs for the sign, for the trailhead signage, were presented. There will be 7 trailhead signs. I don't think we have a motion on this, but I don't know if it's something that needs to be voted on. There's 7 trailhead signs. I believe there's 10 trails, but only 7 substantial ones, that we developed sort of description for them to make sure that it meets ADA guidelines, accessibility, size, font, contrast, and presented them. I sent all the information to Randy. He's gonna meet with the printer to get those signs printed. The Public Works Department is creating the beautiful landscape for the signs. It's this huge Corten steel frame. They're doing that. The majority of this money, with the exception, I should say all of this money with the exception of our match, is coming from some grants. In part, the VCPC grant and the Schuylkill Highlands, correct?
As well as the Rotary.
As well as some of the Rotary, correct. So yeah, that's all I really have for Park and Shade. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer them.
Alright, then we'll just need a motion to approve, deny, or amend.
Wish to approve the request. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. On to economic development. Mr. Mayor.
The committee met on January the 29th, and we had a full house. We had, in addition to our economic development committee members, all the members of council, with the exception of Steve, was not able to be here, but I did speak with Steve at length on the phone afterwards and filled him in on what was discussed. So I therefore don't think it's really necessary for me to go through the minutes here, chapter and verse, although I would say one or two things. Most of the meeting had to do with the redevelopment of the Berkshire Mall, which is, of course, near and dear to many of our hearts. We had a presentation made by Peter Abrams and his attorney, Mark Kaplan. Peter is the principal of Abrams Development, who was the company in the process of doing this. And I think it's important to note, as we do say in the minutes, that he now has a signed agreement of sale with the current owner of the mall. He has made a very substantial deposit and is proposing a middle of May settlement date. So this thing's going to move rather quickly. Most commercial agreements of sale have usually a very lengthy due diligence period in it. One of the other parties that had expressed interest in the mall had an 18-month due diligence period. This one doesn't have a due diligence period because their intention is to demolish most of the mall. So what if the roof leaks? You know, I mean, the due diligence isn't going to really accomplish anything. I do want to correct one thing in the minutes. On the second page of the minutes, it indicates a couple of potential stores. Now, none of these retailers are signed up definitively at this point in time. Costco has been mentioned. That looks pretty promising, but is not locked up. The other thing that's mentioned here is a super duper Walmart. Walmart now views their principal competition as the internet, being Amazon. And this indicates in the minutes here that Walmart would operate a grocery store, a discount store, and an Amazon fulfillment. That's not right. It's a Walmart fulfillment store. They are going to be very aggressively getting involved in e-commerce. And the fulfillment operation would be for Walmart, not for Amazon, just to clarify that. Otherwise, there were a bunch of different things discussed. One of the purposes of the Economic Development Committee is to be a sounding board for developers, so they can come in and talk about a few things, see how we feel about it, how we feel it would fit into the community, and so on. And that was a good bit of what was accomplished at this meeting. So there is nothing at this point that is finalized. 6 or so weeks ago, Abrams was in here with a plan to have an apartment building as part of it. The apartment building is now no longer on the plan. So there are things being massaged here, which is part of why I'm so reluctant to see these plans publicized out on the internet or whatever until they reach a point of being firmed up. One of the things that's discussed here is the possible need of a TIF, tax incremental financing. In this, basics of it are the assessment on a property remains where it is now. This particular property has had several tax reassessments. It is now, Michelle helped me with this, assessed at what, about 5 million or something?
Currently at 5 from a high of 55
So it
million.
went from 55 down to 5. So at this point, we receive monies, tax monies based on that assessment. Just to be clear, the tax dollars realized from any property are a process of multiplying the assessment times the millage rate. That results in what the taxes are. So the taxes, having gone from an assessment of 55 down to 5, are a shadow of what they once were. So in a TIF, the baseline is where the assessment is now. So we are receiving significant monies based on a $5 million assessment, but not really what it was. And that wouldn't change. The increase in the assessment as improvements are made to the property would generate a higher level of tax revenue. Those revenues are used then to pay off whatever is being financed by the TIF. Good example down at the end of the West Shore Bypass, where it meets Perkiomen Avenue, is a shopping center. And they did a TIF there because there were major road improvements that needed to be done. So that was a site that didn't have something that needed to be demolished, but the roads needed to be greatly enhanced to be able to handle it. And it's worked well. There was also this same sort of financing used in a couple of other instances, like up at the Cabela's up in Tilden Township, where there were major improvements made to Route 61 to facilitate that shopping center. So the monies are used to pay down that debt that's incurred by those extraordinary expenses, and it's set for a period of time. So the developer, Abrams, right now has people working on a very detailed proposal as to what a TIF, if it should come to be requested, and it hasn't been at this point, what exactly it would look like and how long it would last and all that stuff. So it's premature to have any more of a discussion of it than that, but it was important for the developer to roll this out to get some feedback from the committee, which we did. We also had representatives from Senator Judy Schwenk's, State Senator Judy Schwenk's office here. We talked about some possibilities of how the state might be able to help with some of these extraordinary sort of expenses. Concurrent, not dependent upon this, but concurrent will be the improvements to State Hill Road. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on over there. And over in our neighbors, Spring Township on Broadcasting Road is a major, big development that's now doing site work and so on. That's a greenfield sort of thing. There's no building to be demolished and so on, but it's a big, big project. There is not any sort of TIF associated with that. But again, there wasn't something special like this demolition work that needed to be done. At the Berkshire Mall, we have the demolition of most of the mall with the exception of Boscov stores, what is proposed. But then there's also a lot of utility work that is all now directed into one thing that has to be separated. So it's very complicated. So we'll see how that turns out. The other thing I wanted to point out here is we have some other things going on. There is a 54-unit apartment building proposed for the north side of the Park Road Bridge. As you cross over the bridge before you get to on the right-hand side is the Loomis Conference Center and then the Ruby's Restaurant. There's a parcel of land right at the end of the bridge where a 54-unit apartment building is going to be built. They are doing site work, which is then interrupted by our snowstorm. But there had been a big pile of fill there, which is no longer there. That work is underway. We also, as you all know, have a conditional use hearing for another apartment building up here at the corner of Park Road and Penn Avenue coming up. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the borough right now. The other thing that's highlighted here is the Sheridan / Crown Plaza. That was purchased by a organization that bought half a dozen or 8, whatever it was, hotels around the country. And we're kind of working on them to bring them up to speed one by one and have encountered some financial difficulties. And that has resulted in some problems over at the site. Our code people have been over there looking at things to figure out whether there's adequate heat in the building and so on. At this time of year, with the weather we've had, you can imagine about frozen pipes and whatnot. So that has been unfortunately delayed a bit. So we'll see how that all turns out. But I think the good news here is that there's a lot of very strong, important projects well underway now in the borough, and I think this will go a long way toward stabilizing our finances for the coming years. So unless any of you have any questions, I'll ask one of you to make a motion to approve that report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
On to the fire and police committee report, Shannon.
The meeting was held on February 2nd, a week later than usual. And Melissa's done an excellent job of memorializing what was said, so I'm not going to repeat that. I think most people will be interested in the Longdale Road traffic study. In the past, we've had many residents come in and express concern about whether it was dangerous for people, particularly pedestrians, but also concerns about the speed of traffic and the flow of traffic. So there was a traffic study done, and eventually Chief Phillips got a written report, which was discussed in detail in the committee, and there were a lot of concerns about whether the report took into account things like where kids leave the elementary school across the street, different stop intersections. Another big concern was whether we sort of are stuck with the report, or whether we can decide to change the flow of traffic or the control of traffic in ways which were not recommended. So the consideration of the report was tabled so that the solicitor can tell us what we are obligated to do, if anything, like the report. And we also discussed the possibility of having a community forum so that we could invite folks in the neighborhood to come to probably the elementary school, explain what's in the report, explain our options, and solicit feedback from the community about how to control traffic in their neighborhood before we actually do it. We also are very lucky that Captain Sykes is willing to continue working with us, albeit on light duty. You'll see from different reports we get from the fire department how crucial he is on preparing or informing us of what the department does. So I would ask that there currently is a memorandum of understanding between the borough and the union allowing him to work on light duty, and I'm asking for a motion to approve the execution of a new memorandum of understanding between the borough and the union, which would allow Captain Sykes to continue on light duty through December 31st, 2026. The thought is also that we should have a new chief, as he would be very helpful in making the transition and informing the new chief about how we do things and working to make departments stronger. So is there
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There's also, people might know that after 2 free false alarms, the borough will bill people for responding to false alarms. And there was a resident who, in a relatively short period of time, had a number of excess false alarms.
based upon the fact that the person wasn't home. There's nothing much that person can do. They're incapacitated or at the hospital or whatever. So I think it's the right thing to do for her.
And also there was a miscommunication where the company which was supposed to call somebody was calling the wrong people, and it's, anything that could have gone wrong for this family did go wrong.
Yes, the daughter did provide clear delineations to the timeline of events and what went wrong. Is that you? Thank you so much. Yeah, just to clarify that this was a medical emergency and, you know, I don't want to set a precedent for.
No, if you have 10 false alarms, you're going to get a bill. But this is, I think, extraordinary situation.
Yes, and thank you for your detailed
Yep.
report for the record. Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Oh, motion, second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll make a motion to approve the fire and police committee
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Alright, finance.
Finance and admin met on February 5th. I just want to bring up a few quick points. There were some council members, committee members, and residents that found it very unacceptable how late Scott's report came out on our finances. But I would like to rebuke that by saying that what Phyllis did, albeit very precise, meticulous, and thorough, was taking up a lot of her evening and weekend times. Phyllis was preparing reports for us on February 5th with the close date just 5 days earlier. She was giving herself 2 to possibly 9 days to get a report out to the committee. January's report provided in February. So there was approximately an extra 20 plus hours of work to prepare these each month, a lot of evening time, and this is not a common practice. So in January, we should be receiving November's report. In February, we should be receiving December's report. That would give her the 1 month window to finalize all those numbers, which means other tasks can be prioritized. I mean, she is spending so many days prioritizing those tasks, and she did a wonderful job. But we need to fix the system. We brought in a new set of eyes as Phyllis is retiring. Scott's found a lot of ways to pinpoint streamlining the process, providing real-time budgeting efforts and availability on the website. The reporting is going to be geared towards the decision-making of council to help them with their decision-making versus an extensive amount of numbers, although they will also be provided. We had a long presentation from Becky at the Brookside EIT to talk about what they did there with us. And then we talked about the CFO business manager, / finance director position. The numbers that were put on the agenda weren't accurate. That's not what actually the committee was looking for, or council was looking for, or staff was looking for. There was some discussion that we want to readdress what this finance director or equivalent type position is going to be, and rewording the job description as well as figuring out the salary for that. So finance has sent that back to personnel committee to sort of look at those numbers. And the last thing was I had proposed possible lowering of budget line items to be, to reel in some of the spending to make sure that we didn't go over budget, to try and keep the budget line items a little bit lower. It was just my proactive effort in budget planning to prevent using general funds to supplement the revenue that was not coming in or the spending that was going out. I was one of 7 who gave anything to the table for that. Nobody else really proposed much. The goal of the finance committee moving forward is going to be to work on developing long-term financial planning. It's not something the borough's had in place, and it's something we absolutely need. The key is really to just show the public that we're moving in the right direction, and to successfully close the gap between budget cuts
what the community has been receiving is far greater than the tax base that they've been paying for. And we need to bring those two numbers a little bit closer. With other added revenue, with decrease in spending, but that's what we're working on. With that being said, there is a few motions on the table.
Sure. One is that even though we're going to get the monthly reports a month late, Scott is going to make us aware if anything unusual happened
In the most recent month, correct?
He also, reviewing January's numbers, said that it was absolutely normal to have the expenditures to exceed revenue, because that's not the taxes come in. But he said there was nothing to worry about, it was absolutely fine.
Thank you, Jen.
January's not a big revenue.
It is
No, there's really, there's no.
All expenses were projects that were already underway.
A lot of projects that had rolled over and payments that had rolled over, correct?
No new expenses.
No. Nothing is wrong.
Yes. The committee is requesting a motion to approve canceling the $5 million excess liability coverage policy for 2026 with the understanding that coverage cannot be canceled before the end of March. Anybody has any detailed questions on that? I would defer you to Michelle, if that's okay.
It's been recommended to us by the agent.
Yeah, this was, yeah. this was-
Motion
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We are requesting a motion to approve adopting resolution number 2026-10 and authorize execution of the letter of amendment with PennDOT for the multimodal transportation grant to be used for the Woodland Plaza sewer line and Wayne Avenue stormwater project. I believe Michelle or Jen can give you more details. I can too, but they'll do a better job of it if you need them. Either one.
Does anyone need any more info?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Committee is looking for a motion to approve adopting a resolution authorizing Scott Board of Transcend Financial to conduct any business and sign any necessary documents related to the borough's pension plans with specificity that it only applies to Scott as long as he is employed by Transcend Finance. And I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion, second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
We're looking for a motion to approve adopting resolution number 2026-11 as to authorizing the treasurer and assistant treasurer as check signers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Discussion on that, is that pulling off any check signers?
No.
Is there a maximum number of check signers per account?
For the working accounts, the payroll account, and one other one, it is typically the assistant treasurer, the treasurer, and myself. There are several accounts where there are 5 of us listed. God forbid something would happen.
So we had the accounts where Jen and I became signers.
Yeah,
Is
you're not gonna be weekly check signers anymore. The treasurer and the assistant treasurer are replacing you, but if you are still listed as check signers for payroll and other things if needed.
Just wanna make sure we should not be removing at this point in time.
Still on there. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Yes, all in favor?
Alright.
Any opposed? All right.
I would like to make a motion to approve appointing Tanya Grilly for the vacant residency on the Finance and Administration Committee for a term to expire December 31st, 2026. She was, in my mind, the forerunner from all of the letter of interest that we got, and I am excited to have her on board.
Curiosity, how many do we got? Letters?
5, but one of them was also Bill Glasser, who was already appointed the assistant treasurer.
Thank you.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Motion is needed to approve authorizing the borough manager to execute a non-renewal letter to the current IT provider by February 23rd, 2026, and enter into agreement with Sol IT effective April 24th, 2026. I will make the motion to approve.
Motion and a second.
Just want to make a comment that the current IT provider is a very large tax base within the community, pretty big building, pretty much important to the economic development of the whole thing. And I understand there's been issues, but just want to point that out to everybody.
I believe the incoming is also a Wyomissing-based business.
I understand that.
So just a question on this, and I need a little bit of a refresher. When we're moving away from them, I don't remember previously reviewing the information for Solve. So is there a refresher on the process of how we landed on them?
Do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
There are somewhat limited IT companies that have the capabilities of working with municipalities for the simple fact of we have a police department. So any IT provider coming in here needs to have their CJIS clearance, Chief? That's what I thought. Not a lot of IT companies have that capability. So the pool was limited in talking to other municipalities. I have great relationships with South Heidelberg, with St. Pete Spring, with West Reading, with Spring. Those are typically who I'm going to when I need a recommendation. All of those besides Spring are with Solve IT and spoke very highly of their services.
Did we get any other pricing sheets outside of Solve, or were they the only place that we received any sort of pricing specs at this point?
They're the only ones that we receive pricing from.
That's quite shocking.
My ask is not whether we put out an RFP. I mean, I understand that not everything we do needs to come with an RFP. However, even when we are not using that process, I think that we're limiting ourselves when we have only one option brought to the table. So I think this is, again, just an example of ways I think we need to work to start to make those changes. I think we need to try to find additional options where possible, and understand that this is not a practical solution. This is not something we can open up the phone book and get 50 different companies with 50 different bids all at once. But I think this is something that we need to look at, starting to get more options as we go through, so we can make decisions at this table as we move forward, not just up or down on individual company.
If I can add, just to add to that, I think it would be appropriate to give that instruction when we have the initial discussion about making the switch, so when Michelle's looking into it for the first time, that she knows and she can bring that to us at the time. So it's not always going to be necessary, but if it is, we can let her know when it's not, so that she is aware of what we're looking for. We can compare, what our renewal will look like with our current provider, with the parameters of the new contract as well, at least for reference. I found that to be helpful. I know it's not a new, but that at least is something we can use for comparison, that I use for comparison.
Do we know yet how the pricing will compare?
It's gonna be a savings of roughly 15,000 for this year. Next year it should be about 22,400.
Thank you. And the Stratix verbiage regarding their performance and our contract was a little nebulous. I imagine this time will be a little bit more demanding with what our expectations are. And
The owner of the company agreed to put language that, how he explained it to me, is they've never had a complaint of any type of negligence or failure to perform duties. They're willing to provide termination for continued service deficiencies language. That says client shall provide provider with written notice describing the deficiencies in reasonable detail. Provider shall have 30 days from receipt of such notice to cure the deficiencies. If provider fails to cure the deficiencies within the cure period, to client's reasonable satisfaction, client may terminate the agreement without penalty upon written notice.
great. Thank you.
And then something coupled with that, then there's that annual option, I believe, that with 60 days notice, we can cancel with them annually, whereas with our current provider, that was not an option.
My only other discussion question would be is if there is any way to remove the two, if there is any way to still cancel at this point without directly entering a new one, to find a way to find another option for service, even if it is looking at Stratus again or someone else to get additional options to obtain. So again, going through the cancel without directly opting into the next contract.
So the current contract says if we don't give cancellation between 60 and 90 days of expiration of the contract, which I have to do by February 23rd to meet that deadline, it automatically renews for another year.
I don't think we can go without services.
Yeah, no.
Well, if we were to cancel, the service would still go through the end of the contract period, so we'd still have their service through the end of their
April 23rd, which is not a significant amount of time. I mean, just for someone to be able to come in and quote us, they have to get admin credentials from our current IT company, log into the server, assess the entire system. It's not a simple process of just, here's your current contract, here's a comparable quote.
Understood. Thank you.
Any more discussion or questions?
And the contract would be 1 year with this new server company?
It's a 3-year contract.
There's two options that I can.
Correct. I mean, it depends on, do we want the cancellation or the non-cancellation?
It just increases the fee. The annual fee goes up a little higher if you're going annual versus years. I mean, is there a way to do the 1-year annual and face the 1-year annual rate increase, and at that point log into a 3-year contract
1-year annual with who?
with South IT?
I can ask.
So like I thought it said in their paperwork that you can sign on for 1 year or 3 years, and the increased rate is different based on the number of years you sign up. If you go annually year to year, I think it's like 5% versus 2%. So do we jump 5% and only sign on for 1 year, and then if we're happy, we like jump into a 3-year contract? I'm just trying to offer options for you.
That, I think you're confusing that with the termination language. 'Cause I'm not seeing anything.
I think if they're adding that clause to
Yeah, but
that
then it's
provision.
termination or
Yeah.
termination. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Additional questions? We had a motion and a second, yes?
And does the motion indicate if we're going into, we have to indicate if we're going into the 1-year or the 3-year contract with the motion?
There isn't an option to go into a 1-year contract.
Okay, my apologies, thank you.
I think it's a 3-year contract and then for the juniors.
I apologize for muddying the waters.
Okay, so motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Alright. Manager's report.
Good evening, council. The Western Berks Water Authority and Joint Municipal Authority meeting minutes were included in your council packets. If you give me a second, I will scroll to them. Oh, I forgot how long PennDOT agreements are. Exceptionally long.
Very long. Easy to fall asleep to.
Yes,
too.
yes. Okay, in respect of everybody's time, I will skip over that. A motion is needed to table, approve, or deny accepting a time extension through April 15th, 2026 for approval of the MET 2.0 land development plans. And just a little backstory for new council members who have never been through this process before. The borough under the municipalities planning code has a very specific time window when land development plans are submitted for which we can either approve or deny. So in the case that we are not doing that within that time period, it's actually the developer that's granting us the time extension, not the other way around. but I know it sounds confusing sometimes when reading it.
So you want a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm respectfully requesting adoption of resolution number 2026-13, a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing, First County, Pennsylvania, in recognition of the life and contributions of Corey Jones.
So moved. I don't know anybody in this community that has touched more kids over the last 10 to 15 years or so than Corey did. It's a shame.
I've been to many large viewings. That was probably the biggest.
Biggest lagoons, I think. It was, I mean, biggest.
It was outside around the building and snaking to the inside. I got there right at 3 and I still had 2 hours to wait. People that got there after me waited for hours. It's a testament to who he was to the community.
Was it the high school football team that shoveled?
Wrestling.
It was a bunch of sports. My son was there.
Yeah, it was-
They shoveled.
The wrestling coach and the athletic director organized it, but there was a bunch of different people that got involved.
Along those lines, a donation of $100 was made on behalf of the borough to the Corey Jones Memorial Scholarship Fund, which was called out in his obituary. The zoning codes report, which includes zoning hearing board activity for the month of January, was included in the
Should
council.
we vote?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I know we had a motion, we have a second too. Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead.
The zoning codes report, which includes the zoning hearing board activity for the month of January, has been included in your council packet. And finally, I'm requesting a motion to approve authorizing the borough solicitor to file an emergency petition for injunctive relief with the Berks County Court of Common Pleas against the owner of 1741 Paper Mill Road related to code violations and emergency access to the property.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are moving on to the treasurer's statement.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree wholeheartedly with what Jen's comments are regarding the financial committee. This is a perfect time to look at the situation, the financial procedures, reporting, what have you. And I applaud the council for being aggressive in doing that. I request that I would love to be part of that if you deem it proper. I only have a couple comments. The reporting this month looked at January of this year versus January of last year. So I only have 3 comments. One is, I think we all know about the cash and investments from last January to this January is down $2 million. We all know about it, but we have to keep it in our mind that this cannot continue. Secondly, just mentioned the real estate transfer tax was down last January to this January, $330,000. It's a lot of money.
That was one
That
specific
was
sale.
Right,
One
right,
big
but I'm
sale.
just saying, it's $330,000 less revenue.
But that $330 of cash was not included in the budget for 2026.
Yeah, it was-
We took out the large.
No,
And it wasn't anticipated.
I agree. I'm totally agree.
And the last one I want to comment on is general insurance. Last January was $173,000. This year was $360,500.
Yep.
So
Double.
that's more than double. So that's my only comments regarding the treasurer's report. Thank you.
We are looking for a motion to approve, deny, or amend the treasurer's statement of operations.
The only comment I have, Dave, is you're on the committee, so why wouldn't you have a say in it?
Well, I agree.
Okay. Sorry. So moved to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. The council carries.
to approve all those.
Sewer fund, refuse and recycling fund. So, all right. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do we have a tax collector's activity report?
You get that?
Which two?
Whereas, all right, we just need a motion. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then we are on to our public comment again for non-agenda items. Or agenda or non-agenda items.
Somebody? I'll have some. Hi, just wanted to, I have a main comment for final, but to clarify a few things. Jen, I agree that the new finance manager did a good job. I mean, it's usually simple things look easy, and that's exactly what happened. My comment was that for what we got in the packet tonight, it was way too little.
Well, let me reiterate by just stating that, which I forgot to state. Next month, we will be reviewing the January finances again in further detail.
Right.
So
And-
that we get on par.
And I
with
think
what we
there is more to discuss there. I've heard that, I listened to the meeting. I don't think we should do this long-term to have 2 months down. I think modifications could be done. We can probably move meetings to still have, you know, in February we have the results for January. Not in March we have the results for January. That's exaggerated in my personal opinion. But anyway, this is not what I want to go. So, yes, they were, I looked back at numbers, Dave. Last year, actually, we had pretty low number, but most of the numbers in January were around 500 to 700. This one was 1.6. That was really double than the highest that's ever been in the last 5-6 years. Anyway, tonight, what I wanted to talk about, the chief spoke about the accident. We haven't heard, the video that circulated online was showing your officer speeding by all definitions. I haven't heard anything about that. We also have had another accident before, right? I also have a video of one of your officers blowing through a stop sign, not yielding, and making a dangerous pass. Almost ran into my Tesla. Luckily, the Tesla records that stuff. I'll post it for you. I think we have a problem, Chief. I think your officers, without any emergency lights, should not be speeding, should not be doing. They don't own the borough. They serve the borough. You will see the video, and I hope I receive an answer from you. 3 infractions in one shot. Speaking to that, what I want to talk about is the fact that back last year, you and Michelle arrested Greg. And he's still fighting those charges that he has not done anything wrong at that time. He was invited to the pre-bid meeting, and you came and arrested him, and you're still prosecuting him. And this is Soviet Union kind of crap. He did nothing wrong. He was told by Michelle in 2 emails to come to the meeting. He was also told by Michelle that he will not be able to do a public comment. So he prepared a nice, respectful letter that he gave to the people at the meeting. There was only truth in that letter. That the conditions of the bid were not what council approved. But Michelle came and had him arrested. Stop this, please, now. Has done nothing wrong. This is a man that's on a limited income. He's fighting in court charges that I am ashamed to see in the United States. I did not come to this country to see this shit. I lived communism until 30 years old. I know shit when I see it. Stop it. Please. Pardon my French, but you deserve this language. Thank you.
My public comment is that I think our police department, while not perfect all the time, has done yeoman's job. So I think the majority of the community feels that way, John. So I just want to make sure you heard that from somebody here.
I think we all should.
And if somebody did something that they shouldn't be doing, I'm sure the chief will address it in the appropriate manner.
I have to know about things.
Exactly.
I don't drive around in the car with every single person.
I will give you the video.
Just had a quick reminder.
Yes, go ahead.
Chaz from Representative Smith, Rick's office. Department tax rate rebate season, real popular. Can get a lot of money back for especially seniors, people on limited incomes, please send them to our office for that or any other state-related concerns for across the street.
There's nothing else, then. Adjourned.